called biohacking, and this is why it's important. I literally got a text today from somebody talking about how this product put it in her body has changed how she feels in the morning, where she can get up without pain. She can do things she wasn't doing before. Her child, who struggled with a learning disability, is actually speaking more than he ever has. So what we have our hands on is giving us the ability to improve ourselves in whatever way, shape, or fashion you want, and it's called biohacking. So right now, there's a process going on inside your body. It's called hijacking or biohacking, and you have the ability to do either one. This means a lot to me. I'm going to share a little story with you because it drives home to me why we get a chance to doing this. So my mom passed away, guys, 11 years ago from cancer. Her mom lived to 97. Her dad lived to 93. She's the youngest of 10 kids. None of those 10 kids have lived past 85. That seems a little weird with the day and age we live. On top of that, how does that happen? Like, how do you take someone with that type of genetics to where now she developed a condition that literally doesn't normally happen to smokers or drinkers, which she did none of those. And also my own father-in-law, he had a heart attack in his 60s. His mom and dad didn't have one until they were in their late 60s, early 70s. And I remember him having this conversation with me because I was upset that I had to go have this conversation. I've been trying to get changed his diet for over 10 years. I've been married to his wife, my wife Holly, and literally she said, he told me this, I knew I was going to have a heart attack because my mom and my dad did. And I asked him, well, how old were they? And they were a good 10 to 15 years older than he was. And I said, good job. You manifested a genetic disease 10 years sooner than your parents. I was a little hot at that time because my mom had just passed away a few months earlier. The last thing I wanted my kids to have to experience is another loss like that. So right now, the information you're going to get at this moment, you're going to learn about something that you can do if you're really, because someone invited you because you have a problem going on right now, or literally because you want to prevent problems from happening the best you can. We're all doing things, but what are you doing and are they most effective? So there is hijacking going on in your environment right now at this very minute. What are you doing to control it? So we now know this new science that started at ABC Primetime, that this process is called biohacking through a process of a science and a technology called nutrigenomics. It's literally how in which environment and nutrition play into how the genes process. So my father-in-law, he didn't play the game right. So literally he manifested a genetic condition 10 years sooner than his parents, right? That's what happened to him, right? This industry is changing how healthcare will be done, right? It currently is. It's even how medication are looked at. I read a study last week talking about specifically related to Parkinson's and Alzheimer's, and how the new drugs are being made and in clinical trials now to activate this process that we're going to talk about tonight. That's a giant deal. But for those of you know right now and the loved ones you have right now that may be struggling with some of those things that relate to that, you have something they could do start now. Also, for those who want to prevent things, you can start that right now, right? So this is what got my attention with this right here. This is this test scores of this little boy, and I was taking care of him and his mom. She lived an hour away from my office. She literally was out driving an hour each way to come see me because the doctor that I had trained living in Iowa said, hey, go see Dr. Brimhall. He can probably help your son more. So number 18 was this little boy. So keep in mind, he was diagnosed at 2. I met him at 3. I worked with him every week for a year. And his mom was traveling an hour each way to come see me. On top of that, he's in a preschool, phenomenal preschool, and doing 35 hours of therapy a week. Like, who has the time or the financial resources where literally that's what you can do and pour your life into it? You know, Carrie had that because she built this business before this product came out that changed her son's life, right? So what you'll see on this is number 18 is her son. And you can see me at the bottom of the pack. This is based on letter recognition and sound. This is after 35 hours of therapy and taking me treating him every week for a year. So it's a bad joke, but literally that's where he was after everything that we had done. And he was doing a ton of supplements. He'd done IV therapies, detox, all sorts of stuff. Then Axio comes out, and within 11 days of him starting that product, I told Carrie, like, he had a 50% improvement. He sat at my table. He was remembering stuff that we had taught with him previously. Literally, we'd have him try to recognize letters and numbers, and he'd remember it sometimes and sometimes not, right? To where from this test, you see it here at 18, to later in February, the only difference we had made, besides seeing him less, was he was taking Axial. It unlocked his brain. So I found myself, after a week's notice, Carrie said, look, you know, I called her up and said, I don't know what's different. She said, I'm ready to look at the science. I read the studies. I started, putting the products in people, seeing good changes. She said, what are you doing next Thursday? I said, well, I'm treating patients, including you. So in 1 week's notice, I found myself on an airplane to South Dakota in the end of October, which you guys know that South Dakota is not warm like Arizona in October. And I met the scientist, got some questions answered. And one thing he said to me, people are tired not because they're physically tired. They're literally tired because they're mentally tired. And that rang in my head so true, is this why we saw this change in her son. His brain was fatiguing, so he was manifesting symptoms that was diagnosed as autism. And then as we started putting this in other people's lives, like this product was made to address brain fatigue. So for brain fatigue, for a lot of us, it might feel like overwhelm or nervousness or can't focus or concentrate, can't get things done, right? For others, it might literally affect how they're able to speak and communicate. So this is a picture of my nephew. This is his handwriting. Think of this little boy. He's 9 at the time. He struggles when those kids in class, last thing to be done, has to sit in at recess, super anxious and nervous, hard time making friends. He starts the Protandim and Axial. Within 2 weeks, look at the change in his handwriting. But he went from one of those kids last in the class done to one first in the class done. So think about who you might know that literally is underperforming right now, and not only in life, but in their career, but in other places socially, literally because their brain is not being activated. So this is what's possible if we activate our body's potential in the best way possible. And we have this new science to deal with that. So I want to talk a little bit about the science. We're going to come back to this picture. So that ABC investigative report aired. It's kind of funny we're having this conversation over Zoom or anywhere, because really with that type of groundbreaking science, aired on ABC, all phenomenal results, we shouldn't be having this conversation. This company should have blown up. But because it was run by doctors and scientists that didn't have an infrastructure put in place, most of those orders of $5 million orders came in overnight, didn't get fulfilled for over 8 months. So they missed this giant opportunity, right? The company's already public traded, so they tried to do what they could. They tried to sell it on shelves like GNC and Rite Aid and online. But no one knew what this science was. They didn't understand nutrigenomics at that time, and it was labeled as something that reduced oxidative stress. No one knew what oxidative stress was. So it switched distribution models in 2009, and in that economy, which we all know was horrible, this company grew from a $3 million company to over $200 million company, right? That's phenomenal of itself, and it's featured on all sorts of different TV spots. But what happened, because that aired, scientists all over the world wanted to study Protandim specifically, not the ingredients in Protandim, but Protandim specific in relationship to all sorts of different diseases and conditions that were linked to oxidative stress. So we don't claim to cure, treat, or prevent, but we are talking about the root cause of heart illness called that is caused by oxidative stress. One of them that was published in what's called the Journal of Circulation. That's the American Heart Association's journal. A 26-page study published in relationship to how it reduced oxidative stress in relationship to heart disease. LSU, specifically in melanoma, reduction in melanoma with Protandim. There's a 10-year study showing that it extends lifespan by an average of 5 years. Universities from all the globe catching this science and studying Protandim specifically and seeing positive results across the world. You can go to what's called pubmed.gov and you can look up these things. So much so, this research has sparked drug companies looking at that, which I'll highlight a couple of specific ones. So really, oxidative stress, what is it? It's literally rusting from the inside out. We see this process all the time in food we live on the counter, it decays, right? What causes that decay is oxidation. So oxidation is caused by stress. Physical, emotional, chemical stressors cause it. In our body, depending on where it happens is what it's named as. If it's in the heart area, they call it hypertension or heart disease. If it's in the eye, they might call it cataracts or macular degeneration. If it's in other tissues, like across the board, it can be diabetes or chronic fatigue syndrome. So literally every cell in the body experiences this process of oxidative stress. And if you aren't doing something about it, it's happening faster than it should. So my question to you is, who is this affecting? Everybody should raise their hand. So who do you care about enough to know, and that you know that you want to at least share this information with? Because right now we're doing something, but is it effective? So you have a choice. You have a choice to combat this stress cycle that's around you. So right now we know our environment is super polluted. We know we're more stressed than ever. There's more stress now going on with both real stressors and stressors that we are just mental stressors based upon what we see and hear. So we have the choice. We can do what we used to do, which is eat our fruits and vegetables, which we should do anyway, and or we can use what's called NRF2 activation. So this NRF2 activation is literally a switch inside your cell. When you turn it on, it puts the fire out. It turned on this mass production of good things inside your cells to heal and repair faster. So literally think about your kids. What if, and I know if you have kids, you're like me, the house just gets messy, right? It just happens. What if you literally could flip a switch in them where they cleaned up on their own? How cool would that be, right? So think about it, in all the trillions of cells in your body, if this switch got flipped on, all of a sudden you're healing and repairing faster, because right now you're aging. And when you're aging faster than you're repairing, you're in a dis-ease pattern where your body is breaking down, and the body has to rob Peter to pay Paul until you start having symptoms. And when you have symptoms long enough, eventually they find a process that they can name, right? And then you're really in trouble. So if you're looking at therapeutic stuff, great, and also prevention. So here's what Protandim looks like, a little blue bottle. It activates this process in our body to help us repair faster. 10-year study showing it extends life. It regulates your survival genes. There's those brands, NSF, BSCG, NIH. These are brands that products don't get. You have to literally be and at the highest standard to get those certifications. And think about a 10-year study. It took 10 years to complete, and it was positive. The only dietary supplement showing to extend life. That's what we get to share. What great confidence we can have in saying, hey, this is extending life. So how is it doing that? It's doing that by literally slowing that aging process down. So if you want to slow the aging process down, what's more likely to be successful? Taking a pill, right? Decreasing your stress, exercising. What's easier? To me, I want to do as much as I possibly can, but taking one pill a day where literally reduces by 40%, that is a giant, giant deal. Okay, so how big a deal is this, right? Think about how many ibuprofen and all sorts of what they call non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are sold. Right, that's a big deal. Or antibiotics, how many antibiotics are sold throughout the world? The science of NRF2, so this switch in your body literally controls the body's ability to detoxify, produce the good stuff called antioxidants, control inflammation, and protect your cells. That's its job, this switch. So Washington State looked at the review of the literature and said, hey, this protein switch, it will become the most extraordinary therapeutic and most extraordinary preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine. We're talking about something that you use both, and you got a problem for therapy and for prevention. But the most extraordinary, you think about all the cool things that happen in science, and for Washington State to hang their hat on this, it's a big, big, big deal. And I would agree with that, because what I've seen in clients' life, I've treated patients for now, I've been involved in my dad's practice since I was 14. I started teaching physicians when I was 21 with my dad. I began my clinical practice at 26. So my whole life has been in this arena. I've stocked my dad's shelf from vitamins from the time I was little. I've taken vitamins since I was little. Watching what's happening in people's lives with this, where we're no longer supplementing, we're activating these inborn natural abilities to heal, your body's repairing faster. You guys have all seen a kid, they fall down, they scrape themselves, the body naturally heals itself. We also seen somebody that's diabetic fall down and scrape themselves and get an infection because the body's systems aren't healing. I want my system healing. This is a switch that controls that. And if what I have to do is just take one pill a day to do that, I want to absolutely do that along with the other things that are going to help my body heal. The NRF2 activation that was put into the Axio to address brain fatigue is what allowed this little boy to have his life like it currently is, not what it used to be. I got a text today, guys, from a mom that I don't know that watched some of the videos we did at one point in time. She started on the product. She decreased her pain so much that she's feeling so much better. Her own kid who struggled with specific, learning disabilities and speech delay, literally is saying words to his mom that he never has said before, right? Somehow when his body became activated, he's becoming and expressing more of life. So you have that choice in doing these things now that you know, but then also, as I know, for every one person that's on here, there's probably 200 people that you know that are probably on their knees praying for information like this now and looking for answers. So what LifeVantage has done is they've realized that there's this brand new science and technology called nutrigenomics coming out. They're going to apply it to different fashions that are huge needs out there for people to have. And there's other switches. Now, because this is such a big deal, there are drug companies trying to figure this stuff out. One of the drugs is called Tecfidera. It's called BG, also known as BG12. It was a comparison study between BG12, Tecfidera, broccoli seed extract, and Protan to see which one was best at activating this protein called NRF2. So if NRF2 is the most extraordinary therapeutic and preventative breakthrough in the history of medicine, and a drug can be made to do that, that would be a good thing. That'd be a huge moneymaker. This drug took $1 billion to bring to market. Its claim to fame is to reduce relapse rates in MS by 50%, which is huge, because that allows somebody that might not be able to walk or might not be able to take care of themselves, literally to have a less the chance for relapse. So the study says this: interestingly, Protandim, a dietary supplement, consists of herbal ingredients with the most potent inducer and therefore may be most suited to a therapeutic strategy. The drug company did the research, they funded it, and they said Protandim actually outperformed even their drug. So that's awesome. But I watched a client of mine that I worked with for over a decade as she started taking these products after she's taking 32 different supplements, most of them from me. I've watched her over the last 4 years go from somebody that could function for about 2.5 hours a day to somebody that goes most all day long, living her life vertically for the first time in years, saving thousands of dollars on medical expenses because her body is no longer just being supplemented, it's now being activated through nutrigenomic-based products. So these products work, but they only work when you put it in them. And guess what? The effects are cumulative because the body will fix what it has to first and what it wants to second. Thank goodness she's been so consistent, because now where she is now, she's building this business for her daughter who's autistic, because she wanted her daughter to have a way to not have to have the government make decisions for her on how she'd have health care. Well, now her daughter, because of how different she is, you can take like 26 supplements down to just a handful today with this vitality stack, which I'll touch on. Literally this little girl who we never thought we were happy when she ordered her own food at Subway, happy when she got a book back in the library and came back out safely, is now in college getting her vet tech degree. That's what we have the ability to do by these products activating systems that just were struggling because we didn't know there were switches, but now we know. Now there are other switches in the body that I want you to know about. Well, one's called the NRF1. NRF1 controls your body's energy production. It supports a system called the mitochondria. Those little bad boys, if they don't work, the cell mutates or dies. That's what happened. This linked to lots of different conditions. But literally, this is, if the mitochondria work, it helps the chromosomes heal, it allows your body to make energy, so you sleep better and you have better energy. Here's what we know about the mitochondria. When they do not work right, their job is to convert food to energy. And when they don't work right, you'll look at this slide on the right. These are the conditions that they get diagnosed with that are directly related to mitochondrial dysfunction. Look at that list. When I look at that, one of the things that pops in my head every time: epilepsy, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, diabetes, cancer, muscular dystrophy. These are the ones where you think, oh crap, what am I gonna do? Because there's not great answers in medicine on helping to actually improve that. It's literally how do we manage it? Guys, literally that study I read last week that talked about Parkinson's, the target for treating Parkinson's is activating NRF2. That's the target that they're honed in right now with creating medications. It's in clinical trials, which means it's probably a couple years out still. So what do you do? I was having this conversation with my staff because we have clients that are struggling with that diagnosis, and said, look, we are doing what science is hoping to do in the future now by activating these pathways and not guessing if we're doing it. We know we're doing it because we know the science is real. How cool is that? How cool to be a part of something that big? Probiotics. Everybody on the planet should be on probiotics, because if you're not, your immune system and your digestive system not working right. And when they don't, you look at the picture on the right, it affects your brain, it affects your immune system, it affects your joints, your adrenals, your colon, every part of your system affected when the digestive system and immune system don't work right. So why is this one different? Again, technology-based, it's a time-release system that allows it to go throughout the whole intestinal tract. So literally, we have a 60% effectivity versus a 4% as far as absorption. And it has something called well-immune. There's so many people now that I see all the time that are struggling with what's called autoimmune conditions. I saw a lady today, right, where all these symptoms are random. They know what's going on, but they know the immune system is struggling, like it's attacking the rest of the body. That was brilliant to put those two together, because literally it helped to balance the immune system and heal the gut at the same time. How critical is that, right? For keeping a healthy immune system, not overactive, not underactive, but just where it should be, and healing the gut at the same time. Phenomenal, and the technology. And then omega-3 fatty acids. How is this one unique and different? Okay, this one's unique several ways. One, because it has omega-7s in it. It's the only one I know of right now that has omega-7s, or maybe some out that I don't know of them. It's got a natural source of vitamin D. And I love the fact that we can trace this back to the boat that it is caught from. I've yet seen somebody come into my office doing laboratory testing and seeing somebody has a normal omega-3 fatty acid level with just diet. I'm sure it will happen someday, haven't seen it yet, but that's because most of us are deficient in vitamin D and essential fatty acid. And if that's the case, then our brain, our heart, our immune system, our hormone systems do not and cannot work right. It's the foundation for really every cell in the body to function well. I love the fact that these come to me every month, that they're pure and they're fresh, and they're from a source that's clean and sustainable. We have the ability to track that back. That's beautiful. Okay, I can't tell you how many times it frustrates me, not frustrates me, it makes me kind of sad when I see somebody that comes in and literally they're taking, I told the lady today, she had bought like 5 or 6 things just in the last couple of weeks because she's trying to help herself sleep. That's what people are doing right now. If they don't have insurance, do insurance, they're just going and they're looking at what are their choices. They try to find information on the internet, they try to find information through a book, and then they go try to go buy something. If you literally go on to Sprouts or wherever, you're gonna find hundreds and thousands of bottles of stuff and not know if they're gonna do what they're supposed to do. I love the fact that LifeVantage has made it super easy for us. We're not working on supplementing deficiencies, we're working on activating systems. So the systems that you can biohack and have control over are these systems. If you want to control how your body repairs, you control NRF2, that's protandim NRF2. If you want to influence the energy production, that's NRF1. If you want to improve your digestive immune system, that's the probio. If you want to improve and help your brain, heart, hormones to work correctly, that's the omega-3. Why not put it into a pack and make it super easy and convenient for all of us that are living this busy lifestyle, where literally all we have to do is grab a pack of this a day, give it to our families, and then we can go. So guys, this pack called the Vitality Stack won the Stevie Bronze Award. Okay, huge award, International Business Award, because of this brand new breakthrough product. I love it as a parent because I can literally hand this to each of my kids in the morning. I can put it where they're at. I know if it's there when I get home at night, right, that one of them didn't take it. I know which one it was because where they sit. And then they're drinking Axio a day. I love, love, love that. Okay. Because if I'm doing that, I'm not only helping to prevent problems, I'm allowing people to function at their best. If we really want to be real here, how well we perform or our kids perform affects their self-esteem, what they feel like they're capable of doing. So I know when I'm doing this, I'm addressing that hard question of giving the person what it needs so that they can function at the way. I love as a parent having it that simple, that I can give them a Vitality Stack and an Axial and away they go. I'm gonna talk about a couple other products just so you know what's important, because the same technology they've applied to skincare, that study on from LSU, they said you need to put this in a topical because there are people that care about how they look. People are putting a lot of stuff on their bodies that's toxic. We literally have the ability now to activate NRF2 on the skin, whether it's because you just want to reduce, skin damage like people in Maradona have, like me, or you literally want to basically help that skin look healthy and long and have great longevity. Okay, or NRF2 technology for your hair. Look at the pictures down this right-hand side and the differences that people are seeing on that, right? That same family I told you about with the lady that was dealing with MS, like her little girl, like her hair now is so different because of being biohacked, right? And she was buying super expensive shampoo, right, to try to keep all the toxins out. I love that this is non-toxic and that it's a way for us to activate literally our biggest organ in our body, which is the skin, through not only the true science hair care, with the True Science, the facial system. How amazing is that? No toxins and actually activating nerve tubes from the outside and from the inside. It's awesome. Then pet tandem for animals, for your four-legged friends. Like such cool stories on that and how it's affecting animals and horses and dogs and cats. If you want to look it up, look up YouTube and type in pet tandem and animals, and you're gonna see some super, super cool stories on that. Then there's the physique weight management system. Look at how big the weight loss industry is. Well, we have a fat burn that's tied to nutrigenomics that you take once a day and helps your body burn that fat all day long. A prebiotic that helps to get the right stuff into the digestive tract so your good bacteria can live there and the bad guys cannot. And a protein shake, so literally as we get rid of the fat, your body replaces it with muscle, because the more muscle you have, the more muscle mass, the more metabolism. So basically your metabolism is directly equal to your muscle mass, okay?